Hello, hello, everyone. Thanks for coming on this wonderful Monday. We're 75 and sunny here in Texas. And yeah, this is Hacks, Tips, and Tricks for Realtors. Normally, I have my co host, Casey Stiers, on. She might be coming on later. We'll see, but she is working a big deal right now. So, everyone, say a little prayer for her that she closes this. And my name is Hallie McCrory. I am a real estate agent in San Angelo, Texas. Also work Dallas, Texas. Team lead for Empower Real Estate Group, powered by eXp Realty. And Casey is with eXp as well. She is in Raleigh, North Carolina, and she's the total downtown guru, but really works all of North Carolina. And then I have on one of my very good friends, Tyler Gidney, today. He is an insurance broker. That's the correct verbiage. Yes.
That's correct. Yeah.
Insurance broker with Goosehead Insurance. And I'm so excited to have him on because he is literally such a lifesaver for me. He is such a wealth of knowledge, is always working hard, just really knows the value of what it takes to do well in this industry. So welcome, Tyler.
Thanks so much, Allie. Appreciate you always. But yeah, like she said, my name is Tyler Gidney. I've been a San Angelo native for, almost 25, 26 years. Have a lot of ties down there, a lot of great friendships. But yeah, got in the insurance business, just over 3 or 4 years ago, and just have absolutely loved it because I get to do things like this and build relationships with people and clients. And when you get the best of both, it's just a blessing to have all that.
Love it. But you're in Fort Worth. So as an insurance broker, so you live in Fort Worth now, but you are able to serve anybody in the state of Texas and Louisiana, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So anyone, doesn't matter where they're at, El Paso, Longview, all areas of Texas. Yeah, we can do it all.
Love it. And if someone is not in Texas or Louisiana, but wants to work with someone, within Goosehead, as we talk more about the insurance world, can you still refer them to an agent?
Absolutely, yeah. So we kind of have a cool program with Goosehead where even if an agent isn't licensed in that specific state, whoever intentionally got the lead, we actually still get a piece of the deal. So even if you're out of state or not in Texas and Louisiana, that's totally fine. I can still help coordinate the transactions. I can still get a piece of it.
Perfect. Yeah, just like real estate agents. So
absolutely.
That makes sense. Okay, so tell us a little bit about an insurance agent versus an insurance broker, and I guess you can kind of segue into Goosehead in that sense as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm just going to first off by saying, insurance is one of those topics people hate, right? Like no one wants to deal with insurance, especially even when they're closing on a house. They're like, man, do I have to get an insurance policy? It's a topic not everyone likes. And I would say the biggest difference between just a normal agent and a broker is the power of choice. I mean, when you're just a normal insurance agent, it is so difficult to compete with all these other carriers, especially in a market right now where a lot of these carriers are increasing rates drastically due to their loss ratios being way off. So it's a circumstance where, like, if you're with State Farm, Progressive, by all means, they're a great company. It's just really difficult to really capture the market when you only have that one source or that one carrier to refer to. The beautiful thing about Goosehead is we have multiple different options. So if a client, for example, is like, hey, Tyler, I hate Progressive. I don't want to go to Progressive. We have a lot of different other avenues that we can put them through. And you can't really say that if you're just a normal agent who works with State Farm, Progressive, Farmers. It's just really tough, especially to compete in a market that we're in right now.
Right. Yeah. And I've even heard of mortgage lenders going this direction too.
Yeah, it's been really rough. I know in Angelo it probably doesn't seem as bad, but in the Metroplex, man, up here is just it's so bad right now with where we're at. We had a carrier come in and talk to us today, and their loss ratios were so bad. And they were like, yeah, man, this is what we have to do to even be some sort of profitable. And it's like, man, if this is happening with one of these big carriers, that just goes to show what else is happening everywhere else. And it's like I said, man, even insurance rates, mortgage rates, they're obviously not in the most favorable position, especially if we're comparing, to what happened, 3 years ago with COVID.
Yeah.
We saw those major, major low rates. And then I think people are finally starting to realize that that was just a, situation with where we were at in the economy.
Yep.
And, it's a deal where I think a lot of people are starting to come to and realize that, even that may not be the best rate, but at the end of the day, if I like the person, then, I'll end up going with them.
Yeah.
And
okay. So that's what you mean by bad. It's just kind of the same thing where it's the rates for insurance are higher right now.
yeah, and it's tough too, because like we have a reshop program where all of our existing clients, if they ever want rates, they can always call me and reshop. And I would probably say I've had 150 clients in the last 4 or 5 months, and I've had to tell about 95% of them that they're in the best spot.
Yeah.
And, coming from a broker who, worked to get the business and, you keep the business, it's tough to tell your client, hey, your rate went up 100% or doubled and you had no claims, no history, no nothing.
Right.
And it's just a really tough conversation unless you know the market and what's going on. And obviously that's a very good explanation into, why we're seeing these rates, because that's always the number one question. Clients like, hey, Tyler, why is my rate double and nothing happened? And a lot of that just has to do with what we're experiencing.
Right. So I guess, so tell us, majority of our viewers are real estate agents looking for hacks, tips, and tricks in the industry. Do you have any good hacks, or like what I guess starting out, what is some good information, especially thinking about newer, less experienced agents? What do you wish that real estate agents would know? Helping these homeowners, we're under contract, we get them connected with you. What do you wish agents would know more about in insurance and how they can help their clients?
Absolutely. So I think the biggest thing to preach, especially, is making sure that your deductibles are in a financial stability. And what I mean by that is, a lot of the times, and I've seen this a bunch, realtors, lenders, a lot of times I'll get a rate to them. They'll be like, hey man, this is way too high. Like, I need you to jack up the deductibles. I need you to make it as cheap as possible. And it's like, obviously I want to do everything I can to help the borrower.
Mm-hmm.
But with rates like that, you need to be cautious of the deductible, because that in itself is how a lot of insurance nightmares start to happen. Quite frankly. If you get a client and they got a 5% deductible and that's the only way to get the premium where you need it at closing, if they want to, change that at their renewal, that's going to be a pretty big wake up call as far as price. And on top of that, they better hope nothing happens in that first year of the policy. Because if your deductible, let's say you have the home sells at $350,000, the replacement's $300,000, you have a 4% deductible, that's $12,000 out of pocket that you're looking at paying before the insurance even touches it.
Right.
So it's, for realtors, I would really just emphasize, hey, you really need to make sure that you have an affordable deductible, because if you don't, there's really no point in having the insurance except for the state requires you to have it when you have a mortgage.
Right.
And, I tell clients this all the time, if your deductible is at a point where it's uncomfortable, I mean, you're paying for nothing, because the deductible is so high, you'll never reach that. And you just pay for the damages out of pocket.
Right. And then there's no point in having insurance, really.
Exactly. And that's why a lot of people get, really frustrated. They're like, oh man, they told me that this was covered. They told me this, they told me that. And it's like, man, did your agent, really break down the specifics and what's covered and what's not covered? And 98% of those people go, I know. And that's the whole issue. And to be honest with you, it's one of the biggest reasons I got in the industry, because it's such a broken industry as far as the customer service and attention that these customers get.
Right.
I mean, I've gotten leads from people just saying, hey man, I hate my agent. I can't get a hold of this guy.
Yeah.
And it's like, communication's your problem? It's like, man, that should be the step one.
That should be the easiest part. Yeah.
That should be the easiest part. And I would say deductibles are key. The water coverages are just absolutely crucial. A lot of people, it really depends on the customer too, right? Like a client come to me and say, Tyler, man, I'm really never going to file this claim. Like, I'm never going to use the insurance. Just give me the lowest thing you can. And it's like, okay. It's like, yeah, I've seen it. And it's one of those situations where, like, you want to do what's right by the client, but at the end of the day, you can't really argue with them. You have to let them kind of experience that.
Right.
And with the water coverages, man, I include them every time because in the state of Texas, you're only going to be filing a claim for one of two things, and it's hail or water.
Yep.
So I always throw those
I'm
on.
sure Louisiana too.
Man, you talk about a hard market down there is really bad. I think I've lost over 50% of my appointments with carriers just pulling out of the state, not wanting anything to do with it. The coastal risk alone is enough to scare most of the market away.
Wow.
So it's really tough right now, just across the board.
Yeah. What about fire? Like I know a few people, well, I guess I won't name names, but I know I have a good friend. She actually lost her whole home in a fire, and I guess she wasn't aware of what her coverage was for, if your house burns down. Obviously, that is a very low chance, but it does happen. I mean, I know Colin right now is even he's redoing a whole house right now that was burned. So, what's your advice there? What should, agents pay attention to for their clients?
Right. So when it comes to fire, I think one of the things that you could pay attention to is going to be the circuit breaker. Some carriers don't offer coverage for certain types of circuit breakers. So obviously, and that's just due to the issue of if it's very old or if it's not in style, that home could easily, it could spark and then catch a fire very.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
sorry.
oh no, you're good. You're good. I was just saying the circuit breaker is definitely one I would check out. And then, I mean, like you said, fire is a very rare thing, and typically, and I hate to say this, right, but typically fires are something that could have been prevented for the most part.
Yeah.
And it's a situation where, like you said, if you don't know your coverage or what's going on, you talk about it's a stressful time, not know what to do. And that's another thing that I've experienced is like a lot of these customers come to me and they're like, yeah, Tyler, my agent, he gives me, minimal advice on what to do.
Yeah.
And as a professional, if you're not instructing your clients to do what's in their best interest, even if we are providing a service, we're not really providing a service.
Right.
We're just doing that to get the client off of our plate into the next one. And you can't be doing, those transactions that way. You really got to get to know your client. And in my opinion, the relationship is everything.
Yeah.
I've even spoken to some customers about coverage, about, hey, I understand this may not be your most competitive option, but in the event that anything happens, you're not going to be calling me upset.
Yeah.
And that means a lot to some people. I think, again, sales, real estate, lending, insurance, it's all about knowing your audience and knowing what's important to them.
Yes.
Like I said, clients could come in and go, hey, Hallie, I want the worst home possible just because I can't afford something, but I need a house. And you're like, well, I don't really want to do that for you. But at the same time, if you need this badly, I will do my service to you.
Right. Well, and it's like all you can do is disclose, tell them your best advice and have documentation of you giving that best advice. And, if that's all you can do. If people want to listen, they can listen. If they don't, then that's up to them.
Absolutely. So it's a tough pill to swallow when you're in sales, because you have those people that come back to you and they're like, hey, Tyler, what the heck just happened with this?
Yeah.
And you got to do damage control. It's a lot of damage control. Things happen where, lately I've even had this issue happen where I'll issue policies and then the carrier will just send the payment back. And it's like, what? So it's just a lot of these carriers are getting real strict on underwriting, eligibility.
Yeah.
A lot of the guidelines right now is if your roof age is 10 years or older, man, you're not getting replacement cost. It's going to be very hard.
Yeah.
And it's just really tough, especially if the client has no idea of what the coverage is or they don't care to know until something happens. And that's where you really see the difference in a client. Someone that's been through the insurance experience is like, Tyler, man, if you can even get in the realm of $50 extra a month, but cover me way better, we're cool with that.
Yeah.
And so those are more the clients that I like working with because the value add hits so much harder when I can go, hey man, your coverage is not good. Let me update this for you and get it at a similar price.
Right.
And I will say for the majority of the clients that, are all about price, there's nothing wrong with that, right? Everyone's got a budget. Everyone has jobs.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
everyone needs to understand what they can afford. But, again, I just go back to, if you have terrible coverage, high deductibles, you're just wasting money.
Yeah.
And people don't really know until they get into that spot where they're like, oh man, I haven't looked at my policy in 6 months. I should probably do that. And I've even had customers go, yeah, Tyler, I paid $220 a month for car insurance. I'm like, are you sure? It's like, because I'm seeing the rates and they're not close. And they go, oh my gosh, I haven't checked my insurance. Let me check. And they doubled their rate.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, if you're not really on top of it, it's a slippery slope as far as what can happen and what you're covered for.
Right. That was like for us when, thankfully our bookkeeper let us know that our insurance was going up. And I was like, whoa, that's a lot. And of course, we got with you and it, I think you saved us over $2,000 a year or something like that.
That was a good one for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So true testament coming from me. I wanted to touch on one quick thing. So the circuit breakers. So as a real estate agent, what I look for, I look at, on the breaker boxes, I look for that FPE, that Federal Pacific.
That's the one. That's the one that's ineligible with a lot of carriers.
Yep. Or if they are, they're super high. So for me as a real estate agent, when I'm going to show a house and I make sure to point that out to clients. And if we can, I look to, if we're making an offer on the house, I look to see, if we can possibly get the seller to cover that. And I've had a lot of pushback from listing agents in the past, but it's always the same answer. I'm like, well, the insurance is going to be extremely high for my client if we don't get this switched out, or they won't even be eligible to get insurance on it. And a lot of times I think, I might be 100% right on that, using that line. Not that it's like a line, it's true, but I think almost every time, I can't think of a time right now where we didn't get the seller to agree to replace that. Unless it was like, Colin buying something for a flip home where they're going to need to, remodel everything, gut everything. It's like an as-is type deal. But almost every time, once people, because I think a lot of agents don't realize that, a lot of sellers don't realize that. So, and just, especially in the San Angelo market, and I'm sure other markets too, we have a lot of older homes where they were using these, breaker boxes, and a lot of homes still have them. And I've known a few people that theirs have caught fire. I can count at least 3. So, and again, it's like, it doesn't happen a lot, but me personally, I know at least 3 people where that's happened to, which I think that's more than you'd think.
Absolutely.
So that's something to look out for. Look for that FPE. And if so, let your client know that insurance is going to be higher, and that's if you can get it.
Absolutely. And it's all about managing the expectations, right? That's one thing that took me a long time to learn, was to manage expectations for clients. Yep. If I see a situation and I can just tell there's about 3 or 4 things wrong with it, I'm going to let the client know before I can quote it. Hey man, with what you told me, the rates are going to seem a lot higher than what you're thinking.
Yeah.
And by doing that, you set the client up to where, like, if you kill it, then like they expect it to be awesome. But if you just come in there and tell them, hey man, this is what to expect, and then you exceed those expectations, that's how you provide a great experience.
Yeah. And
I would say for any realtors, like, this is crazy to me, because like, obviously I'm still in the process of growing my network, trying to meet more realtors and lenders. I've called some that go, Tyler, man, I could give a crap about the insurance. And I'm like, that's crazy, because like, you need that to close. Yeah. And if you're not working with someone that you genuinely trust or has options, your loan could be left out to dry.
Yeah.
Same thing with the realtor, like your 3% commission, which is what I think is standard, that's out the window if we can't find an insurance policy. Yeah. And I think that realtors and lenders need to take a more personable approach with insurance agents rather than like have that situation where it's like, hey man, I just need a quote. Like I just need a quote. It's like, man, I'm a person, hi to you as well.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to be able to go through that experience and explain things for the customer.
Yes.
And if you don't have an agent doing that, best of luck to your clients.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, I have people call you as soon as we go under contract. I don't wait for the lenders to reach out and give their opinion on who they should call. I know who I work well with and who's going to take care of my clients. And I literally have, I have clients who call me all the time and say just how great you are with communication. And I know that I can trust you when I send people to you. So I'm like, as soon as we go under contract, I mean, well, one, because of that, and two, you're on a tight deadline. If I don't know, I personally think I can't always look at a roof and tell if it's good or not. I mean, sometimes you see roofs that are bad, like you'll see like shingles and stuff, and there's like, oh yeah, I mean, that's obviously a bad roof. But even, I mean, I've seen some roofs and I'm like, if you would have, made me put money on whether it was good or bad, I probably would have lost money. So like I have, and that it kind of takes time sometimes for roofers to get out there and inspect. So I'm like, and even with insurance stuff too, I'm like, I send them directly to you as soon as we go under contract for them to start shopping quotes. I just think the more upfront you can be with it, and if something goes wrong, you're still in that option period. And of course you can do the buyer approval to where if financing falls through, which insurance would affect the financing, that can help too. That can be a way out, and still keep your earnest money. But, when there's multiple offers on the line or, I would say multiple offers on the line, sometimes you have to lower that buyer approval or not have one at all. So if you do have an option period, then, you want to be able to have time to get everything checked out.
Absolutely. And yeah, one thing I just want to touch on too, as far as like, just a little bit more tips and tricks that I'm able to provide. I've done this with you too several times where like, if you're a real estate agent, you have a client under contract, but before you just want to make sure that the rates are going to be somewhat favorable or somewhat going to make sense. We can actually run the flood zone determination of the property before the buyer going under contract, because if it's in a flood zone, the lender is going to require flood insurance. So we're obviously going to have to make sure that's going to work for the customer's financials. And then, on top of that, flood insurance relatively in some parts of Texas is very cheap, but very expensive in others. So especially if you're in a flood zone, it's very important that you know and understand what the flood insurance covers and if you can afford that financially.
I mean, I've even had you run them like ahead of time, even like for my listings and stuff, I guess sometimes there's like those, I don't know, in the FEMA website. So for agents who are newer, if you want to find out if a property is in a flood zone or not, you can use the FEMA flood. You just Google FEMA flood map and it'll come up. But sometimes it's like, it's not always, it doesn't work very well all the time. Sometimes like the maps don't populate or like the overlays don't populate, or I'm on the go and I'm trying to do it on my phone, and that's even more sketchy.
That's worse.
I'll reach out to Tyler and say, hey, can you run this and see what flood zone it's in? Or sometimes it's in a flood zone, but it's not a flood zone that requires
the insurance.
So better just be sure. And like literally insurance agents are great for this too. So I don't know. I guess like you can use the FEMA flood map to see, but if you want to be extra sure, ask an insurance agent.
Absolutely. And then so like another thing we also do is we have a digital agent link. So at Goosehead, we are very big on technology and making it as easy as possible to get insurance. So I actually have a link, and if any realtors, lenders want to use this, it's very helpful for clients.
Why don't you put it in the comments?
Yeah, I can do that. Let me see here.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. Pretty much all this link is especially for clients who are really, really busy work schedules, have no time to talk. This is great for you guys. So it's just a link. Let me see if I can post it in the chat here. So you pretty much just click on it and you input your information, obviously property address, driver's license numbers, all that good stuff. And it actually pops back quotes for you to see. So if a realtor is under contract on a property and they just want to roughly see what the insurance is going to cost, we can actually run those preliminary quotes with that property address. So that way we can confirm that it will work for the buyer. Makes it really simple, and that's an easy way for me to get in and build rapport with the client. So it really is, a win-win type of situation with that digital agent link.
Nice.
Let me try and see if I can click on this. Give me one sec. Don't you just love when you have computer issues?
You can always go in the private chat and I can post it too if it's not letting you for some reason.
I got it right here.
Okay.
Perfect. So I just posted my digital agent link in the chat. Super, super simple. Takes about maybe 5 minutes max. And then I can go ahead and just run those underwriting reports afterwards and bada bing, bada boom.
Love it. Okay. Just got it posted. I'm going to put it up on. Well, and if anybody needs that link, if for some reason you're watching this and it's not, you can't see the comments to pull it up. We've got Tyler's email rolling across the bottom, or DM me and I'll get it to you. So either way.
Excellent.
Love
but yeah,
it.
no, super helpful for a lot of realtors just wanting to make sure that, the financing is going to work for the borrower.
Yeah.
Let me see what else I had
So
here.
we've got, we've talked about flood zones, the FPE, breaker boxes, roofs. What else should realtors be looking out for maybe when they're going to show a house or putting an offer in on a house?
Yeah, absolutely. So especially with insurance, if you're a real estate agent looking at a property, you need to take in a few considerations.
Mm-hmm.
If the year built is over 60 years, it's going to make it tough. If there have been no updates, if there have been no roof updates, no plumbing, no wiring, electrical, it's going to be really tough to find a home home policy that's going to put you on replacement cost. And if it's not on replacement cost, and this is something that people get tricked into a lot. If on a policy like State Farm, for example, it'll say limited replacement cost on there. So people are like, oh, that's perfect. It says replacement cost. That is an actual cash value policy. And what will happen is a lot of people will hate State Farm because they'll realize that they have actual cash value on their roof. And if they go to file a claim in 2 to a 5 year span, they will not get 50% of the roof, 60% of the roof. And to a customer, could be financially devastating.
Mm-hmm.
Roof is one of the most expensive things to replace. And you really need to make sure that if it's very old, I would say over 8 years, that you're taking those necessary steps to at least try and get the roof either patched or replaced. Yeah. Anytime it's over that 8 year gap, man, it's just really tough to offer great coverage on a home insurance policy as far as the roof goes.
Yeah, I have a client putting an offer in. I'm sending it after this podcast, and the roof is 18 years old, according to the seller's disclosure.
Yeah, so that may be like one of those situations where like maybe putting in a seller contingency to get the roof replaced may not be the best thing to negotiate, or I would definitely look into that though.
Yes, yeah. We plan to ask for that in the option.
Yeah.
We get our offer accepted. So we'll see. Fingers crossed on that one.
But yeah, those roofs, man, that makes up a lot of the premium.
Yeah.
And deductibles, man, they're like, oh, 1%, man, it's awesome. Or they're like 4%, man, that's cool. And I'm like, man, you know what 4% means? And they're like, oh, it just means 4% of the premium, right? And I'm like, they're like, no. 4% of what the home is covered for. And they're like, oh, and it's just like the light snaps. And they're like, yeah, I don't want to do that.
No.
Like, now you kind of see what we were getting at earlier. And like I said, as long as you provide that and you explain coverages and you go through the details, man, if the client still doesn't want to do it or still doesn't want to have that coverage, man, it's, I've done my due diligence and letting you know the cost of doing that. And it's like, man, now if they know, they can't come back and be like, hey, Tyler, man, you screwed this up for me. It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. It's like, we got all these calls recorded, and I did tell you that was going to be covered or not covered.
Okay,
And
Katie LeBlue, the comment says it's hidden. Okay, Katie, send either send me a DM or send Tyler an email, and we'll send you that link.
yeah, it's in my signature box. So if you just want to shoot me an email, I can reply back, and then you can just click on it through my signature box, and it'll work much easier.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been sometimes the DA link, whenever I copy paste, sometimes it doesn't work properly. So yeah,
I have that issue with one of my apps too.
yeah.
Oh, another thing, if you guys don't know this, so if you are looking at a house with a metal roof, you're welcome, Katie. If you're looking at a house with a metal roof, that's going to be cheaper on your insurance usually. Correct, Tyler?
So, it really depends because with some metal roofs, some carriers won't even take that. Like some carriers just be like, metal roof, nah, nope. So it's like,
Why? Isn't that better than a composition?
as far as the durability, yes. I would say a steel roof has about a 10 to 15 year additional lifespan than a normal composition shingle.
Mhm.
So, you can have those a lot longer. But with insurance, man, it's so cutthroat that, like, even if your roof's in great shape, you have a metal roof, that thing's 10 years old, you're probably going to get limited replacement costs on that.
Because it's over 8 years old.
Exactly. So, like, they're very specific about the threshold of how old it is. Like the condition, if it's in a great condition after 10 years, that's awesome.
Mhm.
But the rate still is not going to reflect that. There's no like pictures or visual aids or anything like that. We have to go off of what we see. And it's like, man, if I could put the roof as 2023, but if it looks 2018, it's a 2023 roof. They're going to cover it as such.
Right.
When they do the inspection, they verify all that information. And if it's not a 2023 roof, they'll go, hey, man, there's no way that's 2023. Or they'll go, hey, man, there's no way this is 2012. This could actually be a 2019 roof.
Yeah.
So, if you are interested in just kind of seeing what stage of life your roof is at, I would just get an adjuster out there or get someone in a roof inspector to come out there and say, hey, man, just let me know where we're at with the replacement and how much longer we have on the duration of it. Because, hail is a very, very big issue in Texas, probably the most common issue. Metal roofs, it's very beneficial against the wind or against the hailstorms because you have that impact resistant.
Yes.
But with shingles, man, 3 or 4 storms, maybe even 1 or 2, that's some significant damage.
Yep.
And it's a situation where like the metal roof is more durable, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get a better rate because it's a metal roof.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So what about, do you do, like if someone is an investor and has a lot of rental properties, are you able to cover those?
That is my bread and butter. We have a lot of really great investment property products. I have about at least 5 or 6 that are really, really competitive as far as price.
Nice.
Now on those investment properties, it's a little bit different of a dynamic because there's no one living there, which means there needs to be, some sort of property management within 100 miles.
Okay.
The only time it gets tough is when you have like buyers that are from, out of state and purchasing an investment property like in Texas and say they live in California. That limits my products to about 2 or 3.
Okay.
But
unless they have a property manager that's in the area?
Correct. Because they want to know that if anything's going wrong with the property, the owner of it is going to come by and make those repairs because their tenants are just going to have a normal renter's policy, or at least I hope the owners would require that from their tenants.
Yeah.
So that just leaves the whole other building and structure and maintenance on the owner of the property. And I know the buy and flip is pretty big right now, where people are just remodeling, renovating all of these changes to homes and then selling them.
Yes.
That's the best type of transaction for me because everything is new, everything is updated. The plumbing, electrical, roof, all of that's been updated. Yeah. And especially down there in San Angelo, I can get crazy low rates, like crazy low if they're all, like I said, been updated in the last few years.
So new construction would be the same idea, very low.
Oh, we have a product for new builds, and like, to be honest with you, I haven't seen that product over $150 a month ever.
Yeah.
No matter if it's 600K, 200K, if it's a brand new build, I have not seen my product to go over 150 a month.
Nice.
And it's like just really, really good across the board coverage. Obviously I'm going to give you good coverage. That's a given.
Yeah.
But the price is just even better. So, and that's the great mix is when you can get the price and the coverage in both. You're like, man, I just did you a solid.
Yeah.
But it's not always like that. And that's what's tough is you have those clients that come to you and you're like, yep, give me the cheapest thing possible and we're good to go. And it's like, dude, I hate doing that because if you have any issues, man, you're going to be calling me. It's not going to be good.
Yeah.
As an insurance agent, I want to limit my liability as much as I can. And the best way to do that is just to write good business.
Right.
And to tell your clients, hey, man, this is what I'm going to do for you. And some clients take that and go, man, you're awesome. I appreciate it. Some clients go, man, I don't want you to do anything. I want to do all the work. And it's like,
okay,
perfect, man. And it's like, you just got to figure out, like I said, who you're talking to. Because some people, man, like even if I'm a broker and you get the best referral in the world, they still don't trust you.
Yeah.
And, that's just people, right? It's just figuring out what kind of person you're talking to and having that relatableness and going, man, I understand. I'm going to do my very best to help you. But I will say, for the most part, clients who are very just price, and they don't really care about the relationship, those people get the worst experience, hands down. Because the realtor, lender, agent, they all go, man, you know what? You've been shopping me this whole time. And it's like, I'm trying to do what's best for you, and you're not giving me the opportunity to do so.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that has to be one of the most frustrating parts in our industry. It's like, man, if you just let me do my job and just let go of the reins, this will be fantastic for you. And it's just like, you still have those clients who are like, hey, Tyler, got your number from Hallie, but we went ahead and called 5 other companies before we called you. And it's like, man, you just wasted hours.
Yeah.
Hours of your time.
I could have called them for you.
Exactly. And it's, some people like that where it's like, man, I just got to call you. You deal with everything. And some people are like, man, I'll do all of it. Like, I don't really care about a broker. I don't care about the service. And that's perfect for those people.
Yeah.
But in a transaction, those people get the short end of the stick 10 times out of 10.
Yeah. Honestly, I would say that's probably one of the hardest parts of working in this industry is like client management and also like clients that want to try to manage you, trying to turn around and manage that relationship too. But sometimes at the end of the day, all you can do is like we said, give your best advice. Try to give your, do your fiduciary duty and tell them what you think is, your professional opinion. But if someone wants to not take that advice and, do stuff on their own, then that's that.
And that's exactly right. Like, and being a professional, you try so hard. You're like, man, I just want you to get it. And it's like, I just want you to understand what I'm doing. And, some people, I'm assuming you've dealt with this as well. It gets to a point with some people, you're like, man, it's just not worth, like you're going to argue with you. It's not worth disagreeing with you. I don't want, even if I don't get the business, I don't want to leave a bad taste in your mouth. And I definitely don't want that getting back to my referral partner. It's like at the end of the day, man, it's like, man, you do what you want to do, right? Like, and someone said this, a few weeks back, and this has stuck with me so hard. Man, my job is not to convince you to buy something. My job is not to convince you to do anything. My job is to provide a service to you and give you the best possible experience I can. The rest is up to you. I can do all of that and it still not be enough to get your business. I understand that. And it's like, it's so situational, person to person. And when you can figure out people, oh man, now, because then you just navigate through those waters and you know what they want to hear.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times they're really just testing you. What I heard is like, they're just testing you like, man, does this guy really know what he's talking about? And then they'll ask me a couple questions and be like, okay, like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And that's just the dealing and working with the unknown, especially if it's your first time. You're stepping on glass trying to figure out, okay, what's going to be the best option for me here? Who's going to be the best realtor? Who's going to give me the best rate? And it's like, man, just get with somebody that you know and that you trust, and they will do the rest. And they will take great care of you. And by the end of it, you're going to probably be giving them a lot of referrals because you're like, man, that was stress-free.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, like I said, man, all you can do is provide that service and let them decide. Because in sales, if you're not like, it's more service than it really is selling, is what I've come to understand.
100%.
It's like, you can be great at talking, doesn't mean you're great at selling something.
Yeah.
And it's like, once you get the idea of like, man, the service is the sale. And that just unlocks your whole entire mindset and going, I'm going to approach every conversation differently and going, here's how I can provide value to you. Take that for what it's worth, but I want to be doing you a solid.
Yeah.
And again, what does it hurt to shop rates? If I tell you you're in the best spot, you're in the best spot. No harm, no foul. But I would encourage a lot of people to shop rates, especially right now.
Yeah.
It's going to get worse here in the next few months as far as rates go.
So who controls that? Is that like, do you guys kind of follow like the Fed rates like we do for interest rates, or?
So it's really compared off of a loss ratio. How much premium is the carrier collecting and how much are we paying out on the dollar? Mm-hmm. Right now, most of these companies are, for every dollar they're making, they're paying out about 97 cents on the dollar. Okay. And doing the math, that's very, very slight margin for error. And a lot of the times, especially with carriers we're dealing with now, is they're getting a lot of customers, but they're not retaining them after a few years. Mm-hmm. So to be honest with you, a carrier and the agent, they don't actually become profitable until about 3 years as a customer being a client. That's when the carrier becomes profitable off of the premium that they're collecting from you versus claims paid out. Got it. And that's where a lot of these insurance companies are really struggling, is they're just sell. But the issue is they're not retaining a lot of that new business that they're selling, and their profit margins are off. So what does insurance carriers do? If your profit margins are off, you got to raise the premium. And that's the only way that these carriers can become solvent in this market. Right. State Farm took a $13 billion loss last year. And that's with a B. That's over $1 billion a month in underwriting losses. And it's like, oh man, State Farm's the best. It's like, man, you don't really know until you know. Yeah. And that's why I tell people, man, even if you've been with your guy, man, for 20 years, if it's financially crippling you, please give me a call. Yeah. Because it's going to be a situation where if I can't beat him, I'm just going to tell you. There's no harm, no foul. Right. That's the beautiful thing about insurance. Yeah. It's so quick. It's so quick and easy. It's like, man, if I can't beat what you're paying, I'm not going to make you pay more unless I'm giving you more coverage or providing value in a different area. But, and that's why with insurance, man, it should be such a different experience. And you just don't see that. You're like, you have clients calling saying, hey man, send me the quote via email. And I'm like, man, what good's that going to do? Like, I'm going to send it to you and you're going to look at it and go, oh yeah. I'm like, you know nothing about the quote. Yeah. Like, why are we just emailing? And it's like, right. That's where the value add is dropped off in that experience, is when customers, even realtors, lenders go, hey man, just email me the quote. Just email me the quote. It's like, man, I really don't like doing that until I talk to the borrower. Right. Because it doesn't matter what I send you, it's not going to be accurate until I get the raw data. It's like, why would you want me sending you numbers that are not accurate on a statement? That makes no sense. And it's like, you have a lot of those people though, they're like, oh man, I just don't want you to call. I don't want you to reach out to the customer. And it's like, man, why? And it's like, I think because they may have not trusted me enough. Maybe it's our first transaction. Totally understandable. Yeah. But if I'm 3 for 3 and providing a great experience, man, I'm expecting to reach out to the borrower. Yep. Because that's going to be the best way I can get all the underwriting questions addressed. I can build rapport with the client and make it a way more referable experience when I get to reach out to the borrower. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of insurance agents can relate to me on this, especially. That is so important in getting clients taken care of, is letting the insurance agent reach out to the borrower if you trust them. Yeah. Honestly, if you want to take those precautions, go, hey man, let's just do a couple, let's see where we're at, and then maybe we can get to that. But it's like, if you're killing it and that referral partner trusts you wholeheartedly and goes, man, I've got my personal stuff with you, they should be letting you reach out to the borrower every single time. Yeah. because that gives the best experience and it makes you look better.
Yeah.
Because if I get a call done or a client done in 30 minutes on the phone, bam, 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 they're going to call you and go, that was like one of the best experiences I've ever had. It was seamless. He found me a great rate and saved me $60 a month on my cars. I mean, well, that's a home run experience for a client.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you want that? Yeah.
And exactly. And they're going to go tell all their friends and family, like, hey, man, this guy really took care of me quick. He got rates back to me. He actually cared about me as a person. He wasn't just trying to make the sale. And that goes a long way with people. But you don't get the chance if we can't initially reach out to the borrower, which is why it's so critical in my role, because it's all word of mouth referrals. I have to generate all of my own leads. So that's why obviously I'm still in the hunt to get more realtors and lenders, because I'm trying to get to that next point.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
And that's where, like I said, it gets tough because you have agents who are struggling in the market. You have the interest rates going up and down. You have an inventory shortage. You have the insurance companies pulling out a lot of these areas. So there are a lot of hiccups that are going on. But like I said, man, the relationship's everything. It really comes down to that. If you can build rapport with the client, man, there are some people that don't even care what the rate is. They're like, man, you're awesome. Let's do it. And those are my favorite people, because that's where the loyalty comes into play. And they're like, man, even if I'm paying more, I'm paying more for the service.
Right.
And I'm paying more to not worry about the insurance.
Right.
And if I am, I just give Tyler a call. It's not like I'm sitting on hold for 45 minutes with someone I don't trust or don't know.
Yeah.
That's no idea of my situation or what's going on or what's on my policy. And it's like, as a normal customer, you're starting to think about all these things and you're like, oh my gosh, like I deal with this all the time. And that in itself is why the insurance industry is broken.
Right.
Because that's been the norm.
That's been the norm. Yeah.
Send in the email, send in the quote with no explanation of what's on there. And at this point, people are just sending quotes to win the deal. So what do? They jack up the deductibles, leave no water coverages. So, man, if the client's only going to care about price, boom, there's the best price. And then blindly, they look at it and go, oh, that's the cheapest one. And then 3 years down the road, they ain't even thinking about that policy.
Yeah.
And then something happens, and they're like, oh, what about that policy? And you're like, man, it's not good. You're in really deep spot right now.
Right. And
I wish a lot more of the just population in its entirety would take insurance more to heart.
Yeah.
And in my humble opinion, you're not ever going to until you experience when you need it.
Right.
It's a night and day conversation with someone who's never had to file a claim and someone who's had to file 2 or 3 claims.
Right.
You go, Tyler, man, give me the best coverage possible. It's like, man, the price, we can negotiate price. Just give me the best coverage I need. So, man, that's perfect. That's exactly what our model is designed to do, is to provide that best coverage at a price that is competitive.
Right. Love it. I love your attitude with it. I really do.
Well,
everyone should be.
Dealing with it wasn't always like this, especially starting out. It's very tough when you have no experience, you have no knowledge, you have no expertise, you have no experience, like real experience. It's hard.
And on top of that, you got to get clients.
Yeah,
generate.
Absolutely. And it's hard to call someone who's been in the industry for 10 years, does 100 loans plus, go, hey man, work with me. They're going to go, man, why am I even talking to you?
Yeah.
And early on, I experienced a lot of that, a lot of, rejection, a lot of people going, hey man, don't call me. I already work with a couple insurance people. And it's like, man, like that's the problem right there, is you're working with 3 or 4. You don't have a go-to. Right. And it's like, obviously I understand, realtors, they want to give the client options. They want to, let the client know that they've got different avenues. And it's like, man, why not have that same experience with dealing with one individual?
Right.
Like, you're over here getting quotes from multiple different companies. It's like, man, I can do all of that in half the time.
Well, I think a lot of agents don't know that this even exists. I mean, I just found out recently that this even exists for mortgage brokers. And I was doing the same thing, where it's like you send people to different agents because they offer different things. But now I know that there are good people that I trust that can, one person, the point of contact for both me and the client. and they can pull, you can shop rates with that one person and they'll help you.
Right. And I
So
think
I think it's just a lack of knowledge, honestly.
yeah. And that's obviously, another reason why I wanted to come on here. A lot of people don't talk about the struggles. They don't talk about, how they got to that point. And, even now, obviously we've had a great relationship. We worked a couple years together, but I can honestly say, I've never treated a customer badly, or I've never had a bad experience with anyone that you've sent over.
Yeah.
And that's whether I got the deal or not the deal, because if you're being transparent and you care about the client, not your commission check, that's when the game changes. That's when people get drawn to you and they go, okay, man, you're really doing our clients a solid, not just, quoting them out, sending quote, like you're actually providing value. And that's what I would encourage every realtor lender to find is if you have an agent that's just not getting it done or just sending quotes or, just hitting you up for referrals and they're not doing anything to help your business grow.
Yep.
Then you really need to look at that relationship and go, man, is this who I want to work with?
Right.
Because, obviously whenever we've got connected, I've tried to help you grow as well, introduce you to some connections that I know. Yeah. And that's all about just helping out your business and contributing towards that. As an agent, if you're legit just sitting there waiting for the leads to come and you're not proactively helping your referral partners or introducing them to other influential people in the industry, man, you are way behind the 8 ball.
Yeah.
And it's like, you've really got it nowadays. You really have to go above and beyond because insurance, real estate, lending, it is so competitive that if you don't know your space and you don't know how to capitalize on that, it's going to be really tough to compete with people who have been doing it years and know all the angles on how to get their borrower what they need.
Absolutely. Gosh, mic drop there.
Boom. No, man, I'm passionate about this stuff. I love helping customers. I love the idea of insurance and kind of what that means. I've myself had to deal with insurance a bunch.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful for it. And, it's one of those things, you're never going to know until you keep spreading the word.
Right.
And telling people, hey, man, this really is a legit product and it's a legit service that we offer.
Yeah.
And talk about a speedy service, man. Some carriers take days to get back to you with quotes. We can have quotes back in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And that helps out the realtors and the lenders because they close their clients on time, frees them up to get more clients. And it's one of those situations where you don't really realize how much it helps until you're closing 3 or 4 more a month. And you're like, man, I'm doing the same thing I was doing. We're just getting the closings done faster because I'm getting all of my stuff out in front. And then we got inspection, appraisal, close. And that's how smooth it should be. But like I said, everyone works differently in the market. Everyone has their own ways of doing business. I can respect that.
Yeah.
From an insurance standpoint, that is by far the best way to refer any insurance agent business is to let them call the client. Give the client a text, say, hey, my guy's been reaching out to you. I've been dealing with him for years. He takes wonderful care of my clients. He also is a broker. He works with every carrier, so you won't have to do a single thing. He'll find you the best rate out there.
Right.
That's it. And that in itself, just that little text versus like an email or just an exchange of a number, just that little personable message going, hey, this is my guy that I know and trust. Don't lift a finger. He will do everything for you, and I trust him. That is a night and day experience difference for me.
Yeah.
Especially getting the client because you're like,
I love that verbiage. I'm using that.
Yeah, you go from being like, oh, hey, man, who is this? Oh, yeah, you're that guy versus, oh, man, Hallie told me all about you. Yeah, let's do this. And the attitude, the momentum, everything shifts in that phone call. And that's make or break for the sale for me personally. Because if I have to tee myself up, that's not a problem. But if I'm already teed up to where it's like, man, this guy Tyler, he is the man. Even if he ain't the man, he's got the carrier, so he is the man.
Right.
And that's what really helps the borrowers on the back end. And even realtors and lenders help you guys close deals faster. That's what we are focused to do.
Okay, I have 2 more questions before we wrap up.
Yeah.
Commercial insurance for commercial properties, or do you have like a referral partner that you
Yeah, so I do have 2 contacts with commercial. They
Yeah.
don't let us they're not letting us getting licensed in commercial. They like
Okay.
cut that off hard about 6 months ago. I have a guy in my office that does commercial, and then I also have another agent that I work with, or he used to work with Goosehead. He can do a vast book of commercial. So like if you have those, I can connect you with the right people.
Okay. And then my other question, so like in San Angelo, realtors don't, unless you're a property manager, you're not making money off of rentals. So a lot of us don't work rentals here, but for agents maybe watching in Dallas, let's say, do you offer renters insurance for clients that they're helping to find a lease?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, we can
Awesome.
do
Okay.
we can do all of that. Now with the renter's insurance, I will just say,
Hmm.
there's not much leverage in that conversation. I mean, no
Right.
matter where you go for renter's insurance, if you're paying over $20 a month, you're getting scammed for renter's
Okay.
insurance, just quite frankly.
Good to
And when
know.
it costs that much per month on the premium, some clients are like, man, I'll just call whoever. So it's more of there's not much leverage in using a broker for renter's insurance.
Okay.
Now, if you want to look at auto insurance and bundling in the renters, that would make a lot of sense.
Okay. Good
Yeah,
to
as far
know.
as just normal renter's insurance, I mean, you can get that anywhere for $20 a month. I mean,
Okay.
it's cheap anywhere.
Okay, so we want to be bundling. Well, we want to be bundling in anyways.
Yeah, like bundling that's like the biggest hack to insurance that they've ever created is going, hey man, just get home and auto, same carrier. We'll either double the commission percentage or we're just going to pay you out more and you're going to get more favorable renewal rates for your clients. It's about a 20 to 30% discount when bundled.
Wow.
So it's like if you have a client that's struggling with debt to income and you're like, man, I can't get this lower, man, bundling in the autos is the key to the game.
Yeah.
It's what drives the premium so down and it helps out so many different situations, especially on the lending side. Like
Yeah.
I would encourage all my RPs to be like, hey man, just be prepared to bring your auto information because it's going to help out a lot as far
Okay.
as what you can do.
Okay. Perfect. That's our lot. I think that's a good little hack there too. Just have your clients ready to give their auto as well.
Bundling is the key to getting the lowest rates possible. 100%.
Awesome. Okay, so any other, we're coming up to the top of the half hour. Any other last minute hacks, tips, or tricks for our agents on here?
Yeah,
You
no,
put
that's
a bunch in there, so don't worry if you don't.
oh no, like I said, the digital agent link's really helpful. Running
Okay.
those flood zone determination reports for the agents helpful. And to be honest, just communication really. Like if you're not sure about a home that you're looking at for a client and you're like, man, this may seem off, that's what your insurance agent is there for.
Right.
It's one of those situations where, like, if you're not working with one and you're one of those realtors, it's like, oh man, the insurance comes from anywhere. Like they just have it when they have it, and I just don't ever refer. There's nothing wrong with that. The only issue is that you have no idea if that client's even covered.
Right.
It's like, man, if that works for the loan, great. But it's like if you're a realtor and you truly care about your clients, you're going to want to care about every single angle of what's going on in the deal. You're going to want to have an insurance agent that you can call in 2 seconds and go, yep, what do I need to do? Or what does this look like? And that makes you look way more attractive to the buyer, even the seller for that matter. No matter what side of the transaction you're on, when you can pick up the phone and go, oh, I've got your guy right here, and he answers in one phone call, that is hella impressive from a buyer standpoint. They go, man, she works with a team. She's got stuff down. It's ready to go. And this is going to be simple for me. And it's like, it's those certain relationships that you really got to cling to.
Yeah.
And especially if you're a customer looking at buying a house, Hallie's amazing in San Angelo and Dallas. But it's one of those things where you got to have that relationship with somebody.
Yeah.
And if it's so transactional, man, you're going to lose a lot more clients than gain.
Yep.
And that's the key to the industry is just being able to relate to somebody in a respectful way and go, this is what I want to do for you, in providing that service, as I said earlier.
Love it. I just love your attitude, and I can't wait for. I mean, we've had a lot of people on here, but a lot of people watch the replays too. I think we're going to get a lot of praise from your attitude on here. I mean,
I appreciate that.
Seriously, I think a lot of people need to model it. Whether you're an insurance agent or a real estate agent, it's the service, service minded heart. So
Absolutely.
love it.
And you go above and beyond for your clients, they're going to tell 20 of their best friends.
Yep.
But you do a bad job for them, they're going to tell 350 that you did terrible.
Yep.
And
And Google and Yelp and yeah.
That's the way of the game. And, when you can really figure out and unlock that service mindset, that's when you got nowhere to go but up.
Yes. Love it. Okay, awesome. So if anybody wants to contact you, is your email below? Okay.
Yep, that's perfect. And then if they do contact me, like I said, I can just shoot them over a follow-up email with my digital agent link. They can just click that. If they don't want to hop on a phone call, totally fine. Obviously, I need to hop on the phone with them eventually to sell it. But if they just want to get preliminary quotes, see where they're at, they can always just click that link.
Awesome. Well, good. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Tyler. This was amazing. Great hacks, tips, and tricks that agents definitely need to know. So thank you again for coming on, and hopefully we'll have you on here again soon.
Absolutely. Yeah, you better come see me in Fort Worth here soon. I got to spoil you.
Actually, I'll be there. I'll be in Dallas this weekend. Have to get one of my rims fixed because Colin was being crazy driving it and hit a rock and messed my rim up. So
Gotcha.
I'll be in the area. Speaking of insurance.
Yeah, speaking of actually, what we're talking about.
Crazy.
No, dude, I appreciate you so much as always.
Yes.
And appreciate
Thank you. And we'll see everybody next week with Casey too. Next week, same time. And everybody have a good Monday. Thanks, guys.
All right. Bye, Hallie.
Bye.